everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to make 5 different cards using Close to My Heart's Mandala Vibes stamp set and Oxide inks. So I'm getting started with the stamp set. This stamp set has thin cuts with it. And I'm setting up the large mandala and the smaller one, and I'm going to stamp everything at the same time, and then I'll cut them apart and die cut them with the thin cuts afterwards. So I'm setting everything up on my Misty because I'm going to be stamping a bunch. And the first group I'm going to stamp in, I'm using Versamark ink, and then I'm going to use white detail embossing powder. So I'll go through the stamping process of a couple, and then we'll get started with getting color on them. So after you stamp it with the Versamark ink, you sprinkle the embossing powder on it, and it's best to keep the cardstock horizontal when you sprinkle the powder on it, and then you tip it and let the rest of the excess powder go back into the container. So I'm getting my heat gun and I'm going to heat everything up, and the powder is going to melt. It's hard to see on this one because it's white on white, but the next one you'll see the difference and how it melts and the change that takes place. So we'll get those melted and all finished. So the Mandala Vibes stamp set is available on my online store until the end of February. It's in the January-February idea book. So it's still available, and I will put links below, or you could just go to my online store. The URL is in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. So now we're going to do the same thing on black cardstock. So I'm stamping in Versamark ink. First, tap the anti-static bag on your cardstock before you stamp it with the Versamark so that you'll get powder sticking to only the places you want it to stick to. It prevents stray specks of powder showing up, so you get a clean image. And if you see spots that it didn't completely cover, you just go back and sprinkle some more on and tap it off. So now I've got my heat gun again, and you'll be able to see more of the change that takes place once everything starts to melt. You see the white gets a little more intense. So I have done this to a bunch of white and black. And so now I've got a whole bunch of the white ones taped down. You don't necessarily have to tape them down, but I was going through a process of watercoloring before this, and so I just taped everything down with low-tack purple tape. So I am starting to blend some Oxide inks on these, and I'm going to take you through blending. I've edited so that only the ones that I'm going to turn into cards on this video are the ones that you'll watch me actually blend the ink on. So this first one I'm using Ripe Persimmon, Picked Raspberry, and Wilted Violet, and you just go back and forth. I tend to start with the lightest color first and then work to the darkest and then go back and forth depending on, if I want, like right now I want the center to be more intense, so I went back and did that one again. So then the one that I'm getting started on is I'm using Twisted Citron, Salty Ocean, and Peacock Feathers on this one. And I started out with the Twisted Citron, and then I went to the Salty Ocean. I thought I wanted that to be the mid color, but then I decided it looked better as the outer color. So I'm getting that down, and then I'll go back in with peacock feathers in between to get a good blend from the lightest to a darker or mid color. There's no right or wrong. You can just do what makes you happy and what you think looks good. So I liked the blend of that one. And I only got on camera the ones that I used for cards, these two, plus a leaf. I'll show you that in just a sec. Okay, so now I'm doing the leaf, and I'm doing that in, I think that's Mowed Lawn and Clover, the greens. I'm getting that down. And then I am spritzing them with this shimmer mist from Sukaniko. It's kind of hard to see it on camera, but in real life it's shimmery. It's a real fine shimmery mist. So instead of using water to create a resist or an oxidation happening, I use the shimmer spritz. So now I have die cut all of these on my Big Shot with the thin cuts, and I have a whole bunch of things to choose from to make cards with. So let's get started making our first card. And this is my process. I get out a whole bunch of stuff to work with, and I just kind of put things together until I arrive at a card design that I like. So I just try everything, and so I'm going through all these right now and trying to figure out what kind of background I want and what's going to make that mandala pop. So I got some of the new light pink shimmer trim. I'm going to use some of that, and then I felt like a black background made the color pop. And I die cut this gold leaf. It's an old retired, close to my heart, thin cut, and I die cut it in the gold foil paper. So I'm gluing everything down. I also embossed this piece of black cardstock with a Holtz embossing folder, and that's also a close to my heart, retired embossing folder. So that's the first layer. I'll take you through the assembly of the first card, and then I've edited down the following cards. Just let you see the important stuff, and it's pretty much the same process for all of them. So I'm popping the mandala, and then I'm going to arrange everything around this one. Get that leaf tucked in, and I'm adhering that with Tombow aqua glue. And I've decanted my Tombow into these fine tip applicators. Makes it easier when you're trying to get glue on those small sections of die cuts. And then I decided on that thank you that I have cut with the stitched circles die cuts or thin cuts. So I've got my shimmer trim down, and then I'm going to pop the thank you. You can see there that I tried a few other different sentiments that I had also die cut. And I came back to the thank you on purple, so that's what I decided on, and I popped that. And now I'm deciding on some jewels to decorate my mandala with. And that card is all finished. So moving on to the next one. This one I used Oxide colors of Picked Raspberry, Wilted Violet, and Blueprint Sketch. So again, I'm going through everything that I have out here to kind of figure out the layout of my card. So this one I am using the Stitched Squares embossing folder, or multi-square embossing, not embossing, but thin cut from Close to My Heart. And I'm just layering that white on white. And you can see that I tried black, and I'm trying to narrow things down and just keep the colors in the die cut stamped pieces. So I'm going to do a white background for this one, and then I die cut a little note with holographic paper, and that's a die cut from Lawn Fawn. I've got that down. And then I'm going to choose some jewels. And this jewel collection, it's from Pink Fresh Studios. And there's 12 different colors to choose from, and you get a ton of these jewels. And they're iridescent and colorful, and they're just fun to work with. So I scattered those around my card. And that's all finished. So now we're doing our next card. And I tried a bunch of different things, but I finally decided that I would use this mandala, and that one was Oxide colors that I used on that were, let me find it here, Picked Raspberry, Abandoned Coral, and Spiced Marmalade. And then I used the Stitch Circles embossing folder on white, so it might be a little hard to see on camera. But I'm going to put that behind everything in that white window. So I'm just trying things out, and that is the scalloped circle thin cut that's in the January-February catalog. So there's my piece with the embossed stitched circles. Still deciding and figuring out things. This is my process. I just put things together and wait until I find something that I like the way it looks. So we're getting there. So I decided to cut the large mandala off center just for a little visual interest. And I thought I would be using the colored one. And then I just keep trying things until I land on something I like. And there it is. No, actually that one's not it either. So I just keep trying things. There it is. So ultimately that's the design that I landed on, even though I keep going back and forth and trying things. Gotta see how it looks. Okay. So now I'm gonna adhere everything and gonna skip towards the end. And then I took out a piece of, this is a retired color of shimmer trim, but it's a brighter pink. The newest one is the pale pink, but this one is an older one, and it's a little more intense color. So I've layered the I Miss You banner, and I created a banner out of that piece of shimmer trim. And now I am scattering some jewels, some bright pink ones around. I'll get all those glued down. I think this is my favorite card out of the bunch. And that's my finished one. And there you can see the embossed white behind everything in that window. I've also used these stitched rectangles, thin cuts, for pretty much all of these cards to give a little bit more texture and interest. So now we're on another card, and this one I'm using one of the smaller mandalas, and those white leaves are a retired thin cut from last fall, I believe. And I die cut 3 of them. And I'm not going to show it on camera just because it takes a little time, but I'm going to layer them and glue 3 of them together so that they're stacked. It gives a little more texture. And then this thank you, I've also die cut it 3 times and layered them. And that's another retired thin cut from Close to My Heart. And then I've scattered some jewels around. Gotta have that shimmer and bling. So that one's all finished. Kept the background a little cleaner, just so that your eye is drawn to the blue. And for the last card, I've got this larger mandala. And again, I'm just kind of pulling some things to kind of figure out how I want to assemble this one. So I have this thanks die, and I've cut that. I've used holographic paper to cut that as well. So I'm just kind of figuring things out. And I decided that this one I want it to be a landscape design with the fold at the top. And I'm going to use the black and white, the smaller mandala with the holographic thanks and a leaf that's embossed white on black cardstock. So I'm getting all that glued down. And then of course I have to add some jewels for some more bling. So I will make a list of all of the supplies that I used, and I'll put it in the description below. And I'll put links to all the Close to My Heart items that you can purchase in my online store. And there is my last card with all the shimmer and bling. So I appreciate you spending some time watching my video. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so you can find all of my videos. And thanks for watching.